Like, how did you even get into this industry?
I didn't really have any skills. I just told him, I was like, I like to write. And he's like, oh, you should check out copywriting.
You've worked with lots of million-dollar brands, helping them with email marketing and writing copy. How would you get in today if you had to get started like right now? Do you think email is still the lowest barrier of entry for people who want to get into copywriting?
It only helps to learn more types of copy. If you can write emails, you can write ads. Yes, I think email is very much so the lowest barrier of entry. But if I was starting from ground zero, I think
that's the future for copywriting, for sure. Creators are going to realize, hang on now, I've got 150,000 people watching my videos, and I'm like getting $5,000 a month. And here's another guy that's got 50,000 subscribers, and he's pulling in $2 million a year. And their entire marketing team was paid for by...
It's really like a shark cage, or a shark pit. This really blew my mind when I heard it, and it's really helped. There are thousands of people out there who are making a lot more money than you. Just reach out, send the email, like start the offer, do it, just do it.
It is going to get harder, especially since like AI now is taking away the value of written content on the internet. I think it's one of the best times ever to be a copywriter.
Where else can you make $1,000 an hour?
So today we're here with Ian Scott. And Ian, you've worked with lots of million-dollar brands, helping them with email marketing and writing copy. How did you even get into this industry?
Yeah, I started with Ecom or affiliate marketing. I was like making blogs and stuff and trying to get affiliate commissions, and that was just ridiculously hard, and like I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And then I got into e-commerce and I joined this dude's group, and it's so weird. I got DM'd by this guy, and he's like, hey, do you want to buy this guy's program for half off? And I said no. And then something in me told me to ask this guy if he knew anything else like out there, how to make money. And so I was like, fuck it. I just sent him the message, and he goes, yeah, man, there's this guy named Sean Anthony. Go check him out. And Sean Anthony did like drop servicing at the time. So he taught you how to be the middleman and kind of white label services. And
Sean, okay.
Yeah. So he was the first guy I paid online to learn all this. And I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't really have any skills. I just told him, I was like, I like to write. And he's like, oh, you should check out copywriting. And I was like, what is that? And then he was the one who was like, yeah, remember what they did on Mad Men? And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, that's what it was. So then I got into email because it was like the lowest barrier of entry. You could get started really easily. I joined Ian Stanley's program, 90 Days to Freedom. I was doing some like one-off jobs here and there, not making much. And like my pilot light was like flickering, you know. A really good friend named John Sawicki in LA. He's the one that really motivated me. He helped me with my copy, and without him, I wouldn't be here for sure. And then I got a job with Troy Erickson. I was friends with Christian Davis. He was like, dude, get out here, man. Like, it's going to be sick. And I was like, I'm not moving to Florida. And then I thought about it, and I was like, wait, I do want to move to Florida. Like, that's exactly what I want to do. I had no family. I didn't like have any, I had family, but I didn't have any like ties to LA. So I put my whole life in a suitcase. My now girlfriend that I live with helped me pack my suitcase the night before. I took off to Florida, moved into Troy's spare bedroom, and fuck, man, the rest is history. So it's been pretty crazy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You mentioned that email was the lowest barrier of entry when you got started. Do you think it's still the lowest barrier of entry for people who want to get into copywriting?
I would say so. I mean, that's a really good question. I mean, I think the days of like really long sales letters, I think they're dwindling. So when I first started, I went to Copy Accelerator, and all these like dudes were writing sales pages, and I was like, how the hell are they writing like 40 pages of copy? And then I was like, I want to go do that. But then I don't know. I think ads might be. I think a lot of businesses need ads too. And I think businesses are more, they prioritize acquisition and front-end sales rather than retention and back-end. Like back-end's kind of like the redheaded stepchild, but you know, I think it's really important. So I would say ads or email, just because it's so short, and you know, you don't have to, like, you only need to add like a few elements of direct response to those emails. But I really think emails go in the way of like brand-based direct response. Like I don't it all depends on the offer you're selling, but I don't see the whole like super hard selling an email like with coaches and stuff. I don't see that as the way of the future. So it's more like, I don't think list managing is the right word. I think it's relationship brokering. So when you're writing as, a coach, you're really just trying to keep that relationship there and like make people feel good. Because people don't buy high ticket right away as much anymore. So it's like, okay, let's evolve and let's figure out how we can get this person to stick with us and read our emails for 3 months, 6 months, even a year, and then they can buy. Like instead of forcing them, ramming it down their throat day one, and they're just like, unsubscribe. So that's my take. Obviously, I mean, that could be wrong, but that's just kind of the way I approach it. So yes, I think email is very much so the lowest barrier of entry.
Interesting. I like that brand-based direct response. That's an interesting way to frame it, because I've been calling it like personal brand copywriting more than direct response, but it is more about both, because you do still need elements of direct response. But it's like most businesses are solving this. You don't need this long sales letter anymore. They're solving this with having a personal brand and building a real audience that when people trust them. I think that's the future for copywriting, for sure. So I'm with you. I think it is. And I think that the best clients are also the ones that have this brand and also require emails and ads. How would you get in today if you had to get started like right now?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. I'm one of those people, I mean, maybe this is common, but like the more I learn, I forget who I was back then, and I forget that people are still starting. And I still feel like I'm the beginner every day. But if I was starting from ground zero, I think YouTube right now is a great place to go, because I think there's a ton of people on YouTube that have huge audiences that don't know marketing. So I think if you can come in, even if you don't even know that much, and you can just throw together like an offer and maybe start an email list and get some momentum for them, they're going to see you as like this messiah, because, you'll have two channels, two similar people. One gets marketing, one doesn't. And this one's going to make so much more money. Because, I mean, if you're just relying on like views and stuff to get an AdSense revenue, like, I don't know. I don't have a YouTube channel. I don't know how much they get paid, but I think they get people that can connect it with marketing are going to make so much more money. So if you can come and be the savior for like some coach on YouTube, I think that would be a great way, because the problem is so big for these people. So you want to solve a big problem, right? That's going to get you the most response when you're reaching out. And I think there's a huge problem on YouTube. It's getting more saturated by the day. Everyone's going on YouTube. Like Gen Z, everyone, like their number one career choice is like influencer. Like everybody's trying to go online. And if you can show them how to like actually monetize outside of just views and stuff, that's going to be huge. So that's where I would start personally. Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't know that Gen Z's like number one career choice is influencer.
I saw a stat. Granted, I saw it on social media, so it might be just bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, but it does sound right. It does sound right. It sound like I hear a lot of people will say to me when I was recording videos, "Are you an influencer?" There is no other assumption. It's like, "Oh, he's got a camera. He's an influencer."
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, sort of, I suppose. I suppose we're recording videos, so I guess it's an influencer. But it is interesting, because that word, when I first got started, was quite a unused. It wasn't very well, like it wasn't used a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like influencer sounded like, oh, you must close influencer clients. But now it's very much like personal brands is, But
that's interesting.
To go back to what you were saying.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off, but I think that's the zeitgeist. People just know that if you're online putting videos, we call you an influencer. But the more you're educated, like us, it's like, oh, well, I guess, but that's like a coach. That's a consultant. They're building a personal brand. But the general zeitgeist is like influencer. So yeah, I think tons of people want to be influencers today. Not me personally, but
yeah, and some aren't even coaches, right? Some are like they have a supplement business, and they have a personal brand. They don't sell any coaching. They don't sell any information products, but they're still selling a physical, something to complement it. And it's interesting, because there's some serious businesses. I had no idea. There's some people that have, let's say, 5,000 followers, and they have a $20 million business
That's crazy.
behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Right? And then they're running ads, but they have this organic presence that's decent. They're a thought leader. Now suddenly their product destroys every other supplement in that little marketplace because there's a brand behind it.
Yep.
And I've thought about this and I've seen this because I think we've both worked with quite a lot of personal brands. I worked with a coach, and when I worked with this guy, he was making over $20 million a year, his business, generating $20 million a year. I talked with his creative director, because he has a YouTube channel as well. And his YouTube channel is not small. It's not small. So it's a couple 100,000 subscribers, but the revenue they make from YouTube per month is like 12 grand or something.
Yeah. Fraction.
The business that's eight figures, right? 8-figure business. And the YouTube channel the money that YouTube's paying in ads or ad spend or whatever YouTube calls it is like only 12K a month.
Yeah.
So I think that this is where a lot of these creators, as you say, like as the market gets more and more saturated, creators are going to realize, hang on now, I've got 150,000 people watching my videos, and I'm like getting $5,000 a month. And here's another guy that's got 50,000 subscribers, and he's pulling in $2 million a year. Where? Because in the past, everybody used to say like, oh, you get on the YouTube channel and then you get monetized. That was like the path. Now it's you don't even need to get you don't even need to have ads on your channel. And if you know what you're doing with a good marketing team, info product, merch, I don't know, supplement, physical products, doesn't matter, like whatever it is, you can drive that traffic. And one of my previous clients, they had it so good that they were getting, I think, almost like $100,000 a month from YouTube revenue, and they had their back end. So they were making like $20 million a year, and their entire marketing team was paid for by YouTube's ad spend, which is like such a smart strategy. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think you nailed it on the head there, because I think the way everything's going is the internet's not new anymore, and we're just fighting for eyeballs. And if you can kind of monopolize your own traffic source, which is YouTube, like, yeah, the hook used to be, hey, get monetized on YouTube, but that's not the value. The value is if you have a huge YouTube channel, your credibility and social proof go through the window, people trust you more. You're monopolizing your own audience, getting their eyeballs, those are the huge things. And that's why I like to work with YouTubers, just because it's so much easier when you're doing email, when you're doing anything. And it's crazy too, like you're saying, they're making $12K a month just from YouTube, which is a fraction of a percent, but they could just dump that back into ads, run cold traffic ads with that money and fund it through that,
Yeah. Or they could pay for, let's say a copywriter with $4K a month, and that copywriter's $4K a month is literally producing all of the content that they ever need to record, let's say, right? Or like $4K a month for the copywriter, $4K a month for a video guy, $4K a month for editor. You have a full team of media production for free to produce videos that on the back end are generating millions of dollars per year. And it's like your marketing team is free. YouTube pays for your marketing team. What a hook,
Yeah.
That's a good angle.
And you feel good as a marketer because you're like, okay, at least they're paying me through this thing that kind of runs on its own.
Right.
Yeah, it's great. I think that's really the future. But then, what's going to happen when YouTube, like the door to get into YouTube is like closing, and it's just becoming so much harder to build an audience on YouTube? That's going to come soon. I think the peak of YouTube is done. I think it's kind of coming down now. If you're a new creator, it's a lot harder to get on. But yeah, it's like anybody who has a current audience on there that's huge and they're getting engagement, like it's a huge advantage. That's why I want to work with them. So
yeah, I like it a lot. It's me too, man. I think that it is going to get harder, especially since like AI now is taking away the value of written content on the internet. That's my impression of it. It's like you have a lot of poorly written copy from average copywriters, and they have used AI to produce it. And then AI's data that it's fed in its data set has a lot of average copy that it's reading to help produce the next set of copy. So like, unless you're a really good copywriter, you can't see that. And all the copy that, is on the copy I used to read, let's just put it this way. The copy I used to read in 2020 was a lot better than the copy I read today from similar businesses, even the same businesses. It's very average, and I'm not sure. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I was going to ask you that, man. I mean, I have some theories. I mean, personally, some of the clients I work with, especially in e-commerce, they like AI. You know,
Yeah.
they like the fluffy kind of generic AI, and I think with ecom, that's always been the weirdest market or like niche to write for because they don't want to pay you that much. Because every product they sell, they don't see that as, oh, I'll profit, like an info product. Obviously, info product, there's costs too, but with a physical product, it's like, oh, you know, that $100 sale is really only like 28 or so, 38, I don't know. But yeah, a lot of e-commerce companies I've seen, they're okay with that kind of copy. And I think now that email is a biz op, email copywriting is a biz op, I think like a lot of copywriters who would have quit earlier on in their journey are now just, you know, leaning on AI, and then they're selling their writing to low awareness business owners who don't really know copy, and it sounds nice to them because if AI does one thing right, it can write coherently, you know. So these business owners are hiring these people for super cheap, and then they're running that copy, and it's just, you know, people who really know are like, well, dude, this is terrible. But here's the thing too, who am I to say that copy's bad? If it sells, I think it's good, right? Like you could, like me and you, like we're good copywriters. We study it. We're nerds about it. And when we read good copy, we're like, oh wow, that's so good. But at the end of the day, it's like copy is determined by like, did you sell stuff? Did you get did the goal happen that you wanted it to happen? So I don't know. I think it only is good for people like us and people who really do look at copywriting as like a lifetime skill in marketing, because we're just going to be so much better, hopefully, than everybody else.
Yeah. I mean, it does sell. Here's the thing. For me, my belief is, well, there's two parts. Obviously, that why I think the copy's gone down in quality, and also what I want to say is that personal brands are getting away with 6 out of 10 copy because the personal brand is carrying the sale. But what if the copy was also good? That's sort of how I think about it. It's like your personal brand is carrying this because you have an origin story and a VSL that's pretty well written, and you have a pretty good offer. So all your marketing assets are 6 or 7, but your personal brand and your pitch or your offer is maybe an 8 or a 9. That's carrying everything. What if you actually had a team of copywriters that allowed, like, the copy matched everything else? I would argue that the business would double or something.
I agree.
Like it would be a significant lift.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas, so that's the first thing, is that I think that with the personal brands, if you have better copy, you would be even further ahead. And the other thing is, the reason I think the copy's gone down in quality is partially because business owners have been solving their poor conversion rates by leaning into a personal brand, and you know, the conversion rate of sales pages is not as effective as a personal brand anymore. So they've been leaning into their personal brand, and they've been neglecting the quality of the copy that they produce. So it's like easier to tolerate 6 out of 10 copy because the brand carries.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
I believe
so
that.
Maybe that's part of it. I think so. I mean, I don't know. I don't have the data for sure, but I mean, it to me just seems that way. And also, I mean, I've even seen this as a coach, right? You know, in the dojo, there's a piece of copy I'll review, or an email idea I'll come up with, and a few other copywriters are on the call, and we all happen to be writing in the info product, you know, industry, and then we all use a similar angle, and then suddenly, you know, because we all have very well established clients, their competitors see all those emails, and then suddenly all the competitors use that hook too. And so I'm seeing emails like from a new copywriter. He'll come into the space, or he'll join the dojo, and he'll share with me a piece of copy, and you know, it's my hook. I'm like looking at
that's so funny, man. You're
that's my hook, bro. like that. Like I literally, at one point, it was crazy. It was one email I was reviewing, and I was like, bro, I literally wrote this email.
Yeah.
Like you really, this is very close. You didn't make an effort to make this your own writing.
That's such a fascinating kind of idea to think about, because I mean, the wealth dynamics. Like, have you heard of that test where there's like creatives and mechanics? It's almost like the creatives of this industry are serfs to the mechanics, who mechanics are able to grab pieces and configure them together and put them together and then launch it, while the creatives are just busting their ass, like creating like these crazy ideas, and then just for the mechanic to come along and take them and run them. Yeah. But yeah, man, I agree. I mean, I'm a creative, so like the first 2 years I worked with Troy, all these 35 businesses, like I only used a swipe 1%, less than 1% of the time. I was thinking of everything off the top of the head. And did they hit every time? Hell no. But the thing is, when they did, it was like, wow, you know. But I've noticed recently I've become more of a mechanic, and I've been using AI, but I don't just, like, I prompt the hell out of it. Like, I make sure and I go over it as a human, but it just, for a creative, it's such a relaxing thing not to have to start from zero. And I've leaned on that a lot, but I think that's the way. There's so much content out there. There's so much stuff to steal, and there's so many people that they want that 10K a month, and they're willing to do anything. And it's really like a shark cage or a shark pit. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that this is the other thing as well, is that, you know, everybody's willing to make all this money. Everybody's relying on the swipes, and everybody's producing stuff like in mechanical stuff. Like, if everybody's doing that, everybody's producing copy that all sounds the same. I mean, I'm looking at, let's say, the business opportunity industry, and 90% of the hooks and angles I see are just recycled. It doesn't sound fresh. It's like most of the copy I've been seeing recently doesn't sound very unique. And then you have one business that's, you know, there's a copywriter there that's really good, and it's very distinct, you know. And I just really wonder if more copywriters were really good and they really applied themselves to the craft and didn't just get lazy, how much more money they would make their clients. Because, you know, I'm not saying I'm this great copywriter. I'm just saying I've put the effort into the writing part of this, you know. Yeah, and I was working with a guy 2 years ago, and I came up with this hook. We were just chatting on a call, and I thought it was a stupid hook. I was like, well, let's just make this hook and say, you know, while you're at your 9-to-5 job working hard, some random is making $100,000 a year posting videos on YouTube about frogs. It was a YouTube automation offer, but I'm like, some dude's making like twice your salary just posting frog videos. And I thought, this is such a good concept. It's like, while you're doing this thing that you hate, some dude is doing something that sounds so stupid and it's working more effectively. There's so many different questions that the prospect is going to have after seeing a picture like that. So we ran it, and it crushed. Okay, it like really crushed. Like this hook, the idea itself, in different formats, like whether it's frogs or like someone talking about the Kardashians or somebody talking about Elon or whatever, like the hook itself is easily made $2 or $3 million. But the crazy thing is, we had a competitor that literally within a week was posting the exact same hooks, right? And I'm like, come on, yeah, like it's exactly the same hook. And so now the entire industry, but here's the crazy thing, and this is why I see this as an opportunity. It's like, they're still posting that hook 2 years later. Imagine if, I'm not working with them, imagine if a copywriter is actually in those teams architecting ideas like that constantly, how much further that business would be ahead, you know? It's like, to me, and with YouTube, it's like, we go back to YouTube. This is why I think that the platform is going to be more important, because all this mechanic, like copy swiping, you can't do that when you just have a video. Videos are harder to do that with. It's harder to produce a video that you can just copy, because, well, maybe you can, I suppose. I don't know.
That's a really interesting thing too, because, you know, I've worked with quite a few business owners who, you know, let's just say they're not the most aware of what good marketing is. So it's really going to be the business owners who have a copywriting background, who have experience in, you know, direct response and good marketing, that are going to be able to see that leverage that they'll have when they hire someone good. You know what I mean? I think, and that's another thing for whoever's watching this, like this really blew my mind when I heard it, and it's really helped. There are thousands of people out there who are dumber than you making a lot more money than you. Like, it's crazy. And it's so motivating, you know? And it kind of goes back to that hook you had. Because, like, this guy, you know, most people that are, you know, plugged in, they think, oh, I have to work harder to make more money. I need to do, you know, like, hard equals more money, more time equals more money. And then when they hear that some kid, a 17-year-old kid with pimples is, like, making frog videos, make it 100,000. That pisses them off. They're like, no, that's not how it's supposed to be. That's not, like, he's not providing value to society, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But he actually is, because there's a lot of people out there who like to watch frog videos. So I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah, that one quote, I think I heard it from Alan first, but it's like, there are so many people out there that are dumber than you, making so much more money than you. Like, crazy.
So what's the gap then?
I don't know. I think it could be. I think that people overthink, and I think that, I'm one of them. I should probably be making a lot more money than I make, but I don't know. Like, I don't want to go into the IQ stuff, but I do think that more aware, kind of smarter, I guess you could say. I don't know what that means though. People, they tend to overthink and be their own biggest worst enemy, whereas like people who just act and don't care about the consequences or repercussions, they don't care how people think, what people think of them, they just fucking do. And guess what? People that just do, they get farther ahead. It's crazy. The more you like sit there and think about it, and then like once you want to do something, I think it's best to do it. Otherwise you sit there and then your ego goes, wait a second, no, you'll look like a fool. Wait a second, no, that's bad because of this. And I fall victim to this too. So like one of my things this year was like, I guess you could call it a goal, was to like, when I get an idea, just run with it. Just do it. Just reach out, send the email, like start the offer, do it, just fucking do it. I still haven't mastered it, but I'm getting there. So, yeah.
I found for me, like, I haven't had too much of a challenge with overthinking in my experience. I found that once I got some of my first clients, I was so busy doing the work that I didn't struggle too much with the overthinking part. Might also be because I don't have the highest IQ, so I haven't found it's been as much of a challenge for me. What I have found to be a challenge for some people I've coached is this overthinking thing. And like you said, maybe it's also because of like over analyzing the situation. But another thing that was really interesting I didn't think about is this assumption that if something isn't mentally challenging to solve, it's not the solution. That seems to be something that a lot of smart people think about. They think like, it can't be that simple because it's almost an insult to intelligence or something. So like, let's say they're at like 1K a month, making 1K, and they want to make 10K. It's like the solution might just be take a couple of good photos, put them on your personal social media pages, get work with 1 or 2 clients, and just work and get referrals. That just sounds too simple for some smart people. They're like, it cannot possibly be so simple that I don't have to really use my brain so much to go from 1K to 10K. Surely to go from 1K to 10K, I have to solve some sort of very difficult, complex problem. And it's like same thing from 10K to 100K. Some people think, well, going from 10K to 100K must require a very complex, must require me to solve a very complex problem. And so it's almost an insult that stuff is so simple. Whereas people that are not leaning on their intelligence to get them through life, and they're leaning on taking action, they don't think about that. They're just like, oh, I have to go from 10K to 100K. I'm going to do this. And that's like maybe sometimes the mechanics where they just copy someone else's funnel. They're like, okay, I'll just do that. Okay, I'll just do that. Okay, I'll just do that. And then they get the result. And then the intelligent people are like, I don't understand. Like, these guys are so smart. I thought I'm smart, and these guys are making so much more money. It's like, bro, yeah, because you sit there thinking you have to come up with this genius strategy when some stupid people are making money from frog videos,
Dude, that's so true. Yeah. It's so true, man. Like, it's like, I'm one of those people. Like, I have been for a long time. And a weird thing too is like, once you've been writing emails for, writing at least 5 emails a day for 2-3 years, you get to a point where you're able to like produce good work in no time. And then you can't, like, I can't connect. I'm like, wow, why am I getting paid this much for this? Like, it didn't require that much work. That's a bad thought, and it's something I need to change. But you're going to get to that point. It's like, well, not you, but I'm saying, people have probably been there and gone through that too, where it's like, it becomes so second nature that you're like, well, wait a second. Making money is supposed to require hard work and be difficult. So why am I getting paid to write this thing in 10 minutes? But I think, I have come to terms with that. And like, when I Do you remember that? It's such a nice feeling. Because you can make like, I wrote a 10 email welcome sequence in 1 hour, $1,000. I closed my laptop. I was like, where else can you make $1,000 in an hour? And it's crazy.
Crazy.
The client was like, oh, this is good. We like it. We like the stop. We like the angle. We're going to launch it. I'm like, cool. Okay. Just made $1,000 in an hour. But yeah, man, I totally agree with you. The 1 to 10K thing, it's natural human instinct to think, okay, if I make 1,000, I want to make 10,000. That means 10x the work. But it doesn't. Yeah. It's not the way it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That $1,000 an hour is a pretty cool feeling. I wrote a couple emails. Yeah. I wrote a small email sequence that was like $600 or something, and it took me maybe an hour, maybe a little bit less, on a train in Japan. And I was like, oh,
feels great.
$600? Yeah, it's a cool feeling. What's more rewarding is when the emails go out and they make a lot of money. Because I'm like, oh, damn. Like, some emails are very basic, you know, and those sometimes make the most money. So the intelligence curse actually slows you down from making your clients money sometimes, because like, oh, my client's paying me an effective rate of 150 per email. We have a retainer for 20, whatever. But this email's effective value is 150. I better write something that requires effort to be worth 150. Yep. And then some person's like 2-sentence email, like, you won't believe what Trump just has done to the crypto market. You know, like, click here and find out. Yeah. And that email like outperforms every single thing that you've done the whole month, and like makes the client like $10,000 or something. It's ridiculous.
The most humbling experience I think any email copywriter will ever have is just realizing that the 9-word email will always crush whatever fucking email you're writing. For the most part.
For those that don't know it, tell us about it. For those that don't know what the 9-word email is.
Yeah, it's the 9-word email. Like the Dean Jackson, that's the guy who created it. I don't know anything about Dean. I just know that he's the one that created it. But it's literally just a question in your name. And you can have a if so CTA, but it'll be like, hey, Matt, are you still looking to make 10K a month as a copywriter? If so, click here. Sign off.
Done.
Just like a super simple, they call it 9-word, but those emails you have to use them sparingly. You can't use it every day. You probably have to switch it up, but that email works so good.
Yeah,
use it.
Yeah,
use it. Yeah. It's cool.
I often have it for me where I have it in my, let's say I'm writing broadcast emails for the month. I'm writing value, and then there's like one day I'm not feeling it so much. And I'm like, cool, put the 9-worder there. Like make my client insane money on the day I'm not feeling so great, and like buy me some time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good point you brought up too, where it's like if you're getting paid per email or whatever it is, it's almost like the inside of you goes, wait, I can't just write a 9-word email. That's not worth $150. And that's another thing that I think it's a hard obstacle to get around, is realizing that you're getting paid for the result, not for the work you put in. So that's the big thing, right? And then if you have clients who know that too, that's even better. And see, you're going to work with corporate clients. You're going to work with more direct response internet marketer clients. I really prefer the internet marketer clients because they just get it. They see a 9-word email and they're like, oh, I know what he's doing. I know what she's doing. But you have these corporate clients that they kind of think in the way of like, oh, I'm paying him this much. I expect this much effort. I don't like that, but yeah, that's something crazy too. It's like just knowing that you have this skill that can get a result and you can get paid a lot of money for it. It's great. I love it. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, think of this as well, right? For those listening, it's like the fact that you wrote a 9-word email in itself shows that you know how to make money, because maybe the client doesn't know how to write a 9-word email. They doesn't understand the concept. And so it's like they might write a 1,000-word email if they didn't hire you and get $1,000 of sales. You write a 9-word email because you know what not to say. Yeah. You actually make your client $3,000, $4,000, $10,000. So it's like writing copy, for me at least, is not just about what you're saying. It's also about knowing what not to say. And it's equally valuable. But they don't see that part because it's not on the page. It's like there's so many pieces of copy. I've had so many ideas I thought were great. Like, oh, this is a great idea. And then in my edits, I'm like, I like it, I want to keep it, but I just know it's interrupting the sales process. Like, I got to take it out, and taking it out, it's like they don't see that part of the final product, but there's so many of those. And it's actually interesting, like the same thing with editing videos. I've only recently noticed this because I've been producing videos, and it's like I see the final product's like a 6-minute video, but the editor tells me, there was like 6 variations of the introduction I tried, and I felt like this one made the most sense. And it's like, you don't see those other 5 introductions, and yet that work is like extremely important work that never gets into the final version. And I think it's the same with copywriting. So the client doesn't see that part,
I completely agree. I think if you think about it, right, let's say you have an offer, you're running an ad, someone clicks, they're showing intent or at least curiosity. It almost becomes a game of elimination, right? Because I think when you're just starting out writing copy, it's like you put so much like pizzazz into the email, like whatever you're writing, but it's like a lot of times you're just getting in your own way. You're actually like, you think you're using something that's going to push someone towards a sale, but you're really just adding conflict, adding confusion, adding like unnecessary shit to it. And I think, yeah, you're 100% right. It's almost an elimination game. Like, what can I, like, you want a lean 99% like meat, 1% fat, in your copy. And I think that's something that is learned as well. As you're becoming an email, like the longer you are in your journey, your copy becomes a lot more, I don't know, not boring, but like more just lean, And I think people today too, it's like people like to watch stuff. They don't like to read as much, especially younger people. Older people, that's different. I think people still like to read, but I think the way our younger generation people are, we like to watch stuff. And it's so easy to watch stuff online. So today, that when you actually put words in front of them, you better make the words good. You better not waste their time, and don't bore them. Very important.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best times ever to be a copywriter, because in the past there was so much demand there was so much pressure, let's say, to create a very heavy, compelling sales message that's well thought out. Whereas now, if you work with personal brands, you can spend a lot more time throwing ideas at the market, get paid for it, and the best ideas that the market tells you real time they like, only then you have to really double down. Whereas 20 years ago, you have to come up with the whole thing, send the whole thing, and get feedback, and then try to figure out what piece was the thing that did or didn't get the conversion. Whereas now with emails and ads and even YouTube videos, it's like I can post some videos, put some titles, and instantly I know what they care about more and what they care about less. Whereas, yeah, like in the past, there's so much more guesswork involved. So it's the best time, I think, to be a copywriter. People saying it's dead. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think copywriting is a dying skill? Is copy dead?
Not at all. Not at all. No, I mean, that's like saying, is the economy dead? Or do people still, do we live in a socialist regime where everything is controlled by the government and there's no one selling things on their own? No. I mean, look, too, copywriting, you need it for scripts, right? If we're watching stuff, if people aren't reading as much anymore, but they're watching stuff, you still need a copywriter to write the script that you're going to do. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of ways to be a copywriter as well, but I don't think it's dead. And I think AI helps. I think there's a gap. Right when AI came out, anyone on this side who had experience, excuse me, AI is like inflation for asset owners, but for copywriters. It makes anyone who's experienced in copywriting, it makes us way more efficient. It helps us so much more. But people on the other side of the rift who are still new, who don't know much about it, they are going to heavily rely on it, and it's going to be crap copy because they don't know what to really do. So I think AI is really just helping all the people who are experienced. It's inflating our skill set, which is great if you're on that side of the rift.
Yeah, I've seen the same thing. Yeah, it's like all the best writers, all the best copywriters, they're more effective. And a lot of them are becoming full stack writers too.
Yeah.
Because in the past, it's like you had to specialize because let's say a business owner wanted a very high quality copy It's like, well, we don't want Ian to be writing our webinar script and ads and emails, because then it's all going to be lower quality, especially since he might have another client. Whereas now they might be okay with you writing ads and emails because AI is maybe fleshing out your copy, or it's producing more ideas for you, or it helps you with structure, or whatever it is. And so I've actually seen that AI has made it the same as you said. Like the better writers are now able to offer even more. And not it doesn't actually discount the price, which is cool. Like I haven't seen anybody have to discount their pricing either. I've seen people just be able to say like, hey, I can write your emails. Let me also take care of your VSL. Let me take care of your ads, and let me take care of your video scripts. And they can do all of that stuff and do it faster with help from AI and have other clients. Whereas, the beginners, they don't get to learn how to write copy without AI. So like they don't develop the skill, like independent of the software, or I don't know what you would call AI, but like, the technology.
They're using it as a crutch, maybe. I mean, maybe we're wrong, but I think they're also, it's interesting. If AI is here and there's a new copywriter, can the new copywriter get good enough faster than AI gets good to actually outpace AI and then leverage it and use it correctly and good? Or is AI going to outpace everyone who starts today and just be so good in 5 years that there's no way someone today can get as good in 5 years as AI will get, and they just get left behind? I mean, I don't want to be too doom and gloom. I think that we're such a special thing, like the way our brain thinks, that AI, I don't know if it can ever be as creative as a human. I think its productive output will be better, but can it think of that frog hook? Maybe. And can it think of these creative, really humanistic things that, make us? I don't know. I think the more that the world goes AI, and look, here's another thing. I'm kind of rambling, but humans are lazy.
I like this.
Right?
I agree with this. Yeah.
Humans are lazy. We always look for the fastest and easiest way to do something. That tells me 80% of the population is going to use AI just to produce stuff fast and easy, which means the quality probably won't be good. So I think humans will always have a role, because the more AI shit that's out there, people are going to yearn for a human touch, a human feel. Oh my God, there was a typo there. That means a human might have wrote it. Oh, that's such a unique idea. Maybe a human wrote it.
So you start getting paid. You start getting paid because you have typos.
Dude,
but
funny
I think that's a good point, man. Yeah.
It's funny. You know how I think it was Justin Goff who said he's like it's good to put a typo, or Ben Settle, they said put a typo in your email, it makes it look like it's human. I think that's a really cool idea, but every time someone makes a typo, if they could go back in time and fix the typo, they would. So I think it's funny. I have a client where I for some reason I make more typos on her emails than anybody else, and she does not like it at all. And I get an email from her, I'm just like, how the hell did I miss that? It's funny. It keeps me on my toes, for sure.
Well, I had an email that had a PS that was literally... The PS was my copy prompt to myself about what to say in the PS. It was terrible. It was like, talk about how we're releasing this product only for a short few days, and I didn't finish the PS. And so I sent the email, and the PS is have a great day, and by the way, I have something for you. Talk about this product that we just released. So it was terrible. And my client's like, what is this? Yeah. They were like, what is this? And I'm like, I don't even know how that got in. I don't even know how I didn't see it. I must have been writing it 11 p.m. or something. Yeah. But fortunately, it was only one time. And the funny thing is, I've made a couple silly mistakes that got a list angry, and we actually made money from it. This is usually what happens. It's we had this email that went out to only women. Well, it was targeting only women, even though the list is got men and women. It was it's from the female founder. So it was this is for you ladies, And so we had a couple people respond. Everybody liked it on the team. We sent it. A couple of guys replied, I'm not a woman. Got all upset. That,
I thought you were going to say,
as if we're supposed to be... Yeah. We're supposed to segment all the guys out. How we're supposed to know that. But I didn't say, you're a woman. I said, this is for you ladies.
You specifically said, hey, if you're a man, this isn't for you. Yeah.
Basically, yeah. And so,
Yeah.
but anyway, all these guys replied. And so I thought, okay, you know what? Let's write the next email addressing the fact that our audience has responded this way. And so the next email was like, hey, a lot of guys felt left out when we talked to all you ladies yesterday. So this one's just for you guys that missed out. And it got like, we got to double the amount of impact because we got to send the second email. And the list liked it. They really responded. But let's circle back to this AI thing about like performance and like keeping up with, can humans really keep up with AI, and can copywriters keep up with AI? I think this goes back to the point that like I've also noticed that with the AI producing copy the way it does, people are going to start to crave the human aspect more and more, which is why I think video is going to be the next level, because with copy, AI can outproduce. But as a human being on camera, I'm dependent on myself to speak, right? So a business owner, if they're a personal brand on camera, you can't replace that. You cannot, the authenticity of that is really powerful. So that's where I think the market will go, is people will say, okay, copy is good, but like, let's put more video because this is a real human being talking. And that's when, you know, you can write scripts or something and produce scripts for a business owner that like help him produce a video.
Yeah. My pushback there, just to be the devil's advocate, is what if AI gets good enough to replicate you on camera and you just put like an audio track over it? Obviously, as seen from earlier, I'm not technically savvy, so maybe that's completely not possible. But what if that happens? I mean, I think that would just benefit them even more, right? Because if you already have a personal brand,
what about live stream then?
Oh,
well, then what if what if the market shifts to like a technology or like a social media platform that is just live response to the audience, and then the person is real sitting there?
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. I mean, there's people that, I mean, not me, but I've sometimes I watch Netflix with my girlfriend. There's like people that like just watch people sit there, right? Like they just want to tune in and watch someone sit and do homework or like play video games. I mean, that's cool. I'm not hating on it, but it's like, that's kind of where we're going. It's going to be live streaming stuff, right? And if you can have enough people log on, they just want to watch you as a voyeur, you know, and be voyeuristic and just watch like that. Yeah. I think that, yeah.
So maybe it'll be a case where in the future, then AI is you're gonna have like just like we have a check mark to say this is a verified account for so-and-so. Yeah. It's going to be a check mark to say like this video is verified to be human made.
Yeah, that's
right.
Interesting.
Like you have a second check, which is like human verified. So like even emails will be like, this email is a human email versus this is an AI email. Maybe it will get to the point where, and then I would see copywriting to be even more valuable, because now you actually have to, human beings are going to crave more human, and they're not going to want to just talk to an AI. I mean, you're already seeing this with a lot of applications that are like mimicking a girl, like have an AI girlfriend. You know, it's not the same experience. Some people are like, oh, you know, like I'm enjoying this, but I'm sure that majority of men, they say, well, no, I'd prefer to actually have a real girlfriend than talk to a robot. You know?
Dude, that's such an interesting thing you bring up, man. That's a cultural thing. It's like, I think there's this idea that people in the future are going to be so lazy, so like, you know, uninspired, unmotivated. Let's just talk about men, right? Specifically, that they're going to like just go for the robotic girlfriend, the easiest life. I think that's not going to happen. I think that culturally there's a pendulum shift, right? I think men deep down, we all want to like accomplish things, and I think that there's a pendulum shift. So I don't know if the world's going to go like that, but I do think AI is going to be a big role in it. But how does that play out, right? Yeah, and this is really interesting.
Well, then that's the demand. That's what I think. I think that then you're going to get to the point where people are going to say, well, there's going to be a market where, maybe not all guys, but there is going to be a market for authentic human connection.
Of course.
And that connection has to stand out from all the AI produced stuff. Yeah. So then the copywriters are going to have to, there's going to be somebody that's a human specialist, a specialist in human experience. You know?
I know how to be a human.
And so basically, like I can come across more as a human than AI, or I can stand out from AI. And I thought that it's like, so you've got two paths as a copywriter. I think you can be like, well, I'm going to try keep up with AI and be like and like try to stay up to date with the technology, or you can say, I'm going to double down on like the human experience aspect of what human beings have a need for as a human being. And I think, I mean, for me, I've decided, look, I can't keep up with the science, and I just get told there's an update, and then I look at the update. And maybe in the future, I'm going to be forced to look at the updates more closely because it might make a bigger impact. But as of right now, I'm just going to double down on the human aspect and the human experience. And that's why I'm working with these personal brands. Because like, to go back to our beginning of our conversation, we're talking about how these creators on YouTube, the current ones, before the new creators, maybe that's the thing. Maybe AI is going to be able to create so much new content, be very like hard to stand out in the future because the content production is so easy. All these established personal brands are going to be the ones that people flock to even more, because they're above the noise because they already built their following. And so then those are the dream clients then, right, to work with, is the people that have already established a personal brand. I've seen that. I've seen all the best clients are all personal brands for copywriters.
100%. Yeah. And it makes, if you're doing email, it makes your job so much easier too. Because you just go to the YouTube channel and you're like, oh, I learned something about the niche today. Like, that's a problem they have. Boom. You like copy paste the transcript into Claude, tell it to give you hooks, tell it to give you the biggest limitations of the audience, the outcomes they want. Boom. Easy. But yeah, that's an interesting point. The more that AI allows people to pump out content, I mean, that's cool. But you also want consumption, right? If the content's crap, no one's going to consume it. And if the only point of content is to get someone to consume it so that they can, be indoctrinated in the way you do things, like you build that KLT and then finally make an action with you, right? And that's the problem with YouTube and online today. It's not like it was in 2010, 2015. It's being like a tsunami. Like, there's a tsunami of content on there. You can't even find stuff. So that's going to reach because look, I mean, I think how many more people in the world aren't on social media? Not that many, right? I'd say like even people in like third world countries, whatever you want to call it, they have phones, they're on YouTube, they're on Instagram. But the supply of content that's going onto these platforms is way outpacing the demand. So it's going to get to a point where it's just like, nobody likes, I mean, personally, I don't like crowded places. A lot of people don't like crowded places. Nobody likes feeling like they're just in this like pool of craziness. So then what's after that? Is there going to be a new platform? Is it going to switch to something else? Yeah, I think it's really interesting. And then I was going to say this to your point, like how you're doubling down on human stuff. I think that's smart because look, in the long run, right? 1,000, 5,000 year timeline, AI is going to be on some crazy shit. But we don't have to worry about that because we're not going to live that long. We only have what? Me and you have like 80 years left at max. So that's all we have to think about. Is what should we double down on this timeline and what do we think AI is going to be able to do in this timeline? I think the whole like AI is going to take over the world. Yeah, it might, but that's not going to, I don't think it's going to happen in the next 80 years. I think it's going to become a huge part of life, but I don't think it's going to like, render everyone unemployed.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't think it would. I mean, the whole point of the way I think of it is like, who owns the AI is probably going to have the control, because if you have if you own the output, it might be a question of like, who has the most AI output, who owns the most AI output, because then they have the most production. It's like, okay, I have X amount of AI output and you have 3 times that output. Therefore, your value economically is 3 times more valuable. So, but the point is that it's still humans interacting with humans. So behind all of that, there's still just this group of people talking to each other and engaging with each other to like say, okay, well, we want to do this thing. We want to produce this kind of asset for our market. Let's say we're working with a personal brand and they have 1 million followers right now. However, they use AI, they still want to accomplish something in their marketplace. So behind the scenes, behind all the AI outputs, they're talking with their team. I just want to know those people. I want to double down there. So I know those people, whatever they're figuring out, because they're competitive. I'm not the most competitive, hardest working guy on the internet. There are some people I would just like to hang around that are that person, and they're going to be the ones that are at the front figuring it out, and I'll just learn from them, So I guess it goes back to building your network, So if you're a copywriter getting started today, I think obviously from what we've chatted about is like get into AI, learn how AI works, but learn the skill fundamentally behind the AI, like behind copywriting, so you understand why it's working, so that you're not just dependent on the robot that's going to just get better and better. Because then it's like if you're just dependent on the robot, what value are you providing the business owner that the robot can't provide? If you need the robot just as much as the business needs the robot, they don't need you then, right?
Yeah, and everything comes down to results, right? Like someone might hire you and you might use AI and they might think it looks pretty, but if they're paying you 5K a month and you're not making them that, it's just a business decision. They're going to be like, well, you're not making me any money, so bye. And then they hire someone who does know and they get results. And I mean, at the end of the day, right, that's what we're all doing this for, is we get our clients results. That's what we get paid for. It's a performance-based industry. You don't get paid by the hour necessarily, and you have to perform. That's why one of the craziest things too is like, it's also a making your clients happy industry. Like, I was a waiter for 10 years and I never had a bad table. I always listened to people. I was good at my job, and I didn't know I was like, fuck, I wasted like 10 years working at a restaurant. Now I'm getting into marketing. Those 10 years were the most valuable thing I could have had in this industry, because I'm able to hold on to my clients, like make them laugh, just build rapport off the get-go, and that is important. Like a lot of clients just want to work with someone that they can rely on, they trust, and that they generally like, that's important. Sure, maybe someone can make them a little bit more money, but if that guy is weird, he doesn't answer on Slack, and he comes on meetings with his camera off, it's like, they don't want to work with that guy, I mean, some people do. Some people only care about results, but I think like being like able to talk to people and just be like a good human being and be normal and like really treat your clients well, that's such a big part of this industry for sure.
So it sounds like if you're worried about AI taking over, double down on the human skills, like social skills, like personal brand, video, being more human. That sounds like the best way to tackle this.
Yeah.
If you can't beat AI, be more human,
Yeah. When people zigzag, right? That's something I believe in. That's how I invest my money too. When people, I own coal stocks. People hate coal, but they're dirt cheap, and we need coal. Like when people zig, it's always a good idea to think about zagging in anything, I believe.
Yeah. I like that. I mean, in the past, everybody was saying, you should be full stack. You should be able to write sales pages and at VSLs, and that was the big thing in 2020. Everybody was talking about how much their sales page made, and I always looked at it and I said, well, I did like email more anyway, so it wasn't like a complete zag to their zig, but I was like, well, I'm sure that these guys are also going to have trouble like creating profit as there's more competition. So the list is going to become more and more valuable over time. So I'm going to focus on being an email marketer and really take care of the list, where all these guys, their hard-earned dollars, those lists are going to be more valuable as time goes on. And sure enough, email became the big noise, And then now, I mean, as of the recording of this, everybody wants to be an email copywriter, and every guru is selling email copywriting as the easy way in. And now I'm thinking like, well, personal brands want every type of copy. You want to be versatile. So now everybody's like, oh, I'm an email copywriter. They're like not looking at the VSL copywriting position. They're not looking at the blog post copywriting position. They're saying, I don't want to be the ads copywriter. I just want email. So now everybody's like only looking at email. Now I'm zigging. I'm like, no, now you must go for every type of copy position so that you can get your foot in the door. And it's working again. So now, just always be a little bit ahead. Just be one step ahead.
That's one thing too. I got really bored with email. I think email is great. It's something that I know like the back of my hand, but it only helps to learn more types of copy. If you can write emails, you can write ads. I'm sorry. You can write ads. That's an easy segue.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah. VSLs, luckily I have an easy way to write them and get feedback, but I've written a couple. They require, you can't just sit down and write it in one go usually. And that's kind of weird for an email guy, because usually email, you can just sit down and pump one out in like 10, 20 minutes, maybe longer if you're new, but it's not a huge stretch. Like these sales pages that we used to see in 2020, that like blew my mind. I was like, how the hell do you write that? But that's not a thing really anymore, you know? And it's so funny, all those pages, like if you have to write that much to sell someone a $7 product, like, what the fuck? Like,
It's a good point. It's actually quite a good point.
Are you fucking kidding me? Like, that's crazy. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm not taking away from the skill, but that's, you know, like a VSL isn't a huge jump. I would say get started now, and then you can just offer more to your clients. Like, all my clients, like, I've upsold them into like other stuff. Like, I wrote them books, and we're gonna do a low ticket funnel for the book, VSLs, you know, and that's just like, I think that's the way. If you can be that copywriter who can do everything and just be their one guy, they'll love you for it, and they'll pay you more, and you'll learn more, and you'll help your own stock, you know.
Yeah, I like that. And that's pretty funny. Yeah,
dude,
you need to have all these pages just to sell like a $7. I mean, look, it's reality. It's reality. It's like, why do you need to push so hard to just sell a $7 product? It's pretty funny. Okay, so I think we've got some pretty good actionables for whoever's listening, right? So step one is target personal brands. Look for people that are producing video content. Definitely better, if they already have a following and they're already producing video content, organic. They have some sort of organic presence. Second thing is, learn to work with AI and double down on the human side of everything in the business, whether it's the copy aspects of it or whether it's just your own social skills, like get on camera. And then this part is what we just chatted about, is being more versatile, so that you're willing to take on more projects. And I think that this is something, we'll see. Maybe it'll change very soon. But if you're watching this and it's recent, the recording's recent, then it's like, yeah, this is right now the thing. No one's saying yes to they don't want those gigs. That everybody, 95% of copywriters or aspiring copywriters, they're all just email copy. There's like 5 applications for the VSL role and 300 for the email copy role. I see that all the time.
Yeah. Can I say one more thing about that? That's really important. Like, what I've learned
go for it.
Working with Troy at the agency is a lot of time, email is a steroid. If you take steroids and you just sit in your dark room and play video games, like, you're not going to get buff out of nowhere. It's just not going to happen. You're going to get really sick. But if you actually do the things that are healthy for you, you're going to get jacked. But email's the same way. If you bring a good email strategy into a well-run business, it takes off. But if you have a shitty offer and you bring email in, it can't lift the bar. It's just not. Email is not that's not the tool, So it's in your best interest to become very versatile, so that if you get a client and you realize email is not bringing in the revenue that's going to keep you on, you can pivot and go, hey, look, email, I think it would really help our list if we had XYZ. If I wrote you a VSL, if I wrote some like short scripts for you that lead to an opt-in and like a free lead magnet. Like, the more versatile you be, the more you can help the email list itself. And it's in your best interest, because if you're just doing email, you're gonna run into clients that email just can't do it. It just won't. So yeah.
No, I'm with you, man. That's been my focus, and that's going to be my focus in 2025, is just more full stack copywriting. Learn it all. Learn as much as you can. That way you can say yes to lots of opportunities. Ian, thanks so much for your time, man. Where can people reach you if they want to get you to write copy for them, if they're a business owner, or if they want to just connect?
Yeah, you can send me a mail. I'll give you I'm just kidding. Yeah, Facebook is good. Yeah, Facebook.
Facebook? Okay.
Yeah, Facebook. I'm on there. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'll just add it to the description.
Cool.
Good. Well, again, appreciate your time, man. This was really fun. And chat with you soon.
Cool. Later.